Hey everybody, hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Whiskey Wanders. And today we are getting into the very beginning of the summertime, as it is, and things are getting warmer, and boy am I getting thirstier. So I want to go over some of the top 5 whiskeys that I'm excited to look out for over this summer or thereabouts. And what I'm going to be kind of hunting for over the next couple months. And of course, there are always going to be those additions that come in, the standard perennial releases, like the Pappies and the Hibikis and the Bookers and the Yellowstone limited editions, and whatever Diageo is putting together for 2024. But these whiskeys are whiskeys that I think are really going to be great additions to the collections, to round out our collection, and to continue on some of the lines that we have already started year over year with a newest yearly edition. Now, before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you like the wanders, if you like the haul, if you like the reviews, if you like the unbottlings, the unboxings, and really all the amazing stuff that we have cooking up for you, and we have a lot, don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel grow, and of course we are so thankful for that, but also because it means you get notified when our newest long videos come out, like this one, our short videos, and really everything else we have in between, all kind of shapes and colors and sizes, but you'll get notified when that comes out. All right, now, let's get down to the video. Now, of course, while we are waiting for everything to get warmed up, let us too get a little bit warmed up. And we're gonna do a real quick whiskey check. Let me get a glass. And today, I think in honor of these kind of special editions and unique bottles we'll be looking for, let's start out, let's do a little something special. Lagavulin Distillers Edition, yeah. So this is obviously not the first Lagavulin that anyone would buy, but hopefully it's not the last one. And it gives kind of a nuanced taste to the Lagavulin that we all know and love. So let's see if we can get a pop here. Hey, that's a pretty good one. And get a little bit of juice. Oh yeah. And whiskey. Because let's face it, you can never really drink too much of it. You can only just drink it too fast. Cheers. Oh, oh boy, that's good. Ooh, I like that. So the first up on this list, number 1, is surprise, surprise, a limited edition release from Lagavulin, which is actually going to be the 4th edition of a collaboration of Lagavulin with the manly man, Nick Offerman, which is the Lagavulin 11. In fact, we have this one, the previous one, which is the charred oak version. I don't have the Guinness one because that one's kind of hard to get. And the first one, man, I don't even know what happened to the first version, but this is number 3 from last year. But this newest version round is going to be a little bit different because they are finishing their Lagavulin in a Caribbean rum cask, which honestly, I think is going to be very, very interesting because I'm also on the hunt for the Lagavulin 12, not on the list, but Lagavulin 12, which is finished in the Patron Añejo barrels, which I think will also be very, very interesting. So I just like where Lagavulin's head at, and I think maybe they're all kind of scrambling to try to figure out what to do with whiskey now that whiskey winter's coming. Is a different story. But this time around, they are at the 11th. They're going to be doing with the Caribbean casks. And when I think of Caribbean casks, Lagavulin's not the first whiskey I start to think about, obviously. First of mind, obviously, is going to be Balvenie and the Balvenies of the world, as well as, maybe to a lesser degree, some of the Cardhues who have more of a tradition of doing this. But the kind of Islay-y, smoky peatiness of Lagavulin, going to be very, very interesting. Now, overall, all the Offerman editions with Lagavulin, I have tried, or at least all the ones I have tried, I have never yet felt to have been led astray. And I think really honestly, Lagavulin is one of my top favorite whiskeys of all time, both bourbon and Japanese whiskey and scotches. But what makes the Offerman edition enticing is that Lagavulin has paired with Nick Offerman, the supposedly manly American man, basically as a proxy. Meaning that instead of sending out surveys and doing tastings and samplings around the United States with various Americans in different socioeconomic classes, etc., they said, you know what, we're just gonna choose Nick Offerman, and basically said, this is the type of American drinker we are looking for. And pretty much, if Offerman likes it, then our core target audience will also like it too. And you know what? They were right. Each edition has bent Lagavulin in ways that seem to really favor the American palate at the guidance of one Nick Offerman. And at this point, each one of them has really just hit it out of the park. Now, this newest version seems like something a little bit different than the previous three, and my guess is that they are hoping maybe to cut into a bit onto that sweet tooth that many bourbon lovers have, and try to squeeze the Lagavulin into those kind of glass slippers like the other evil sisters did. They were not Cinderella. They're trying to fit it into there. So we'll have to see. I like Balvenie for one reason, I like Lagavulin for another, and maybe Mr. Offerman can be the great combiner of the two in this latest edition. So if I can find it, I'm going to pick that one up, and obviously we'll share it here. Next up are actually going to be two whiskeys that we have been lucky enough to get last year, and I don't know if I have any here. The first of which is the Jack Daniel's 10, and then also the Jack Daniel's 12. Yeah. So this one is the older one, the batch number 1, but they're going to be coming out with two new batches, one for the Jack Daniel's 10 and one for the Jack Daniel's number 12. So we have the second edition of Jack Daniel's number 10, we have the first edition of Jack Daniel's number 12, and I think that really I'm going to prioritize the Jack Daniel's number 12 over the 10, since in general, I imagine my experience has been with these special editions that the first couple batches tend to be the best. We saw that with the Kentucky Owl, wherever you are, the Kentucky Owl batches, as well as some of the other ones. They tend to be the best versions. And then, oftentimes, especially with large, suppliers, they kind of get a little watered down or just don't maintain the same quality as they try to keep consistently and also scale up production. So the 10, again, like I said, would be the lesser of the two, but the 12, I think, is really going to be a great get if we can. I've seen a couple of them floating around so far, but I just have not been able to bring them onto my radar and track them down. So the other thing is that I do kind of wonder where the age statements are going to go with Jack Daniel's. I believe there is a precedent within the Jack Daniel's catalog to have an 18 or maybe even perhaps a 21 would be great. And it would be pretty coveted, and it would be stupendously expensive in my imagination. So, I'm looking for the 10, I'm looking for the 12, and I got an eye to the future to maybe an 18 or a 21, because that would just make my day. So those are the next two that we are looking for: Jack Daniel's 10, Jack Daniel's 12, the next rendition of the batches. So we can have them side by side. We can do a taste side by side, and then we can poo-poo perhaps the other batches that are just not as good as the original. Now the next two whiskeys after that are going to be ones that are from a series of whiskeys, from a whiskey brand, I should say, that is slowly really kind of seeping its way into the collection. It's kind of almost inhabiting its own shelf at this point. And it is known for its appeal to those who enjoy that old-timey feel of bourbon, which is going to be Old Forester. And in this case, it is the Series 117. And this first one is the High Angel Share, quote-unquote High Angel Share. And then in addition to that is a second one that's going to be coming out later in the year, the Series Rum Finish. I think that these are interesting for a couple reasons. First is for the High Angel Share. So I'm sure you all know, but the Angel Share is what bourbon people in the bourbon business write off when they put their full barrels of whiskey into storage, and then 4 to 10 years later find out that a good portion of it has evaporated. That amount that is evaporated is presumably siphoned off by the angels, or maybe perhaps the overnight maintenance guys. But you know what? In fact, I bet you back in the day when they first noticed the Angel Share, they probably thought someone was stealing it, and they had some poor guy sit there for 10 years to actually verify that it was the angels taking the whiskey and not, someone sneaking in and drinking it. Okay, maybe there's someone sneaking in and drinking a little bit. Either way, as a result, what is left in the barrel is a dehydrated mixture of sweet, sweet whiskey, barrel goodness, and 10 years of being as close as you really would want to ever get with American oak. Now, for this High Angel Share specifically, Old Forester has had a very rigorous yearly routine of heating and humidifying their rick houses to assuage the angels to take even more of their share. And these barrels, these are the result of that. These are the barrels that the angels had favored and therefore have the least amount of remaining liquid and the most dense, brownest of the brown whiskeys of them all. Now, of course, they do proof it down to 110 proof because otherwise one drink and you would undoubtedly ascend to whiskey heaven, which is like real heaven, but with whiskey. Also in practice, it would also mean that you would get the most Old Forester of Old Forester whiskeys that there is to be had, or at least that the distiller is willing to let the laity like us enjoy. Now, on the flip side of that equation, but still within the 117 series, is one that is not going to be released till later this year in July, which is more of an Old Forester that is enhanced rather than distilled down. And of course, that means that right now it is all the rage at the moment for whiskey distillers to try to enhance the whiskeys by finishing them specifically in rum. And Old Forester, not to be left behind, is finishing their Old Forester whiskey in rum finish cask. So it is the standard Old Forester with the standard ABV at 47.5%. But it is finished in rum cask, and I don't know, at least at initial glance, it does seem like they are cheating off Lagavulin's playbook, who is also cheating off Cardhu's playbook, who's also cheating off Balveni's playbook. So I don't know how the circle really works out. And Old Forester never really is on the avant-garde of whiskey. So they make great whiskey, that is indisputable, but they're never like on that cutting edge. So although they are relatively new to finished bourbon game, but just like most of the big whiskey makers, Jack Daniels and Jim Beam and all the other subsidiaries, they see what High West and Blood Oath, or even what Scotch distillers have been doing for years, and have decided to try their hand at it. And you know what? I'm all for it. It's kind of nice to see distillers move away from such a heavy push to maximize ABV, which admittedly Whiskey Public had been overly fixated on, especially me, and bring things back to a Mictarian, like Michter's Mictarian mindset of quality whiskey at a reasonable ABV with interesting palates that are good quality and delicious, instead of, an ABV blast to the face. Now that is going to be it for today. It was Whiskey Wanders, a hypothetical whiskey wander through hopefully what we can get over the summer and maybe perhaps into the fall if it takes a little longer to get it. But I really do hope that you enjoyed this video, and in fact, I hope you enjoy all of our videos, whether it is the wanders or the hauls or the reviews or the unbottlings, the unboxings, and really all the amazing stuff that we have cooking up for you, because we have a lot. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel grow. And of course, we are so thankful for that. But also because it means you get notifications when our newest long videos come out, like these ones, our short videos, and really all the other kind of things that we have in between. And lastly, just remember, if you do find a whiskey that you love, especially one of these on the list, just buy it. Because if you don't, somebody else surely will, and it might, in this case, even be me. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. I'm out, and adios.